Hello, and welcome to this edition of Commerce Close-Up. I'm your host, Dr. John Bellotti. I'm the Director of Speech Communication at Texas A&M University Commerce, and also the Mayor of Commerce. And recently, the Commerce City Council passed an ordinance in support of a renaming project, and it deals with the War and the East Texas War and Memory Project. I have two guests from Texas A&M University Commerce Honors College with me on this program, Haley Hassick and Nick Springer. And Haley, can you tell us a little bit more about this project?
Well, the project is meant to collect and preserve military veterans' stories, their family stories, for public consumption, for research, and just to preserve them before they're lost. And you mentioned the highway renaming. That kind of came about as a little bit of a joke. A lot of things we thought were cool, and we've thrown out a lot of ideas. But Dr. Groover, who's the director of the project, kind of started thinking about it and thought it would be a really cool way for us to kind of pay tribute to, historical figures who have been through Commerce. Claire Chennault was born in Commerce. Not a lot of people know that. He had a great impact with the Flying Tigers and World War II, especially in China. And then you have Otha Spencer, who is, the historian of Commerce. And we actually met his daughter and his son this summer, and they gave the University Archives his research, his papers, a lot of his artifacts, which is really cool because we didn't get to meet Otha Spencer. He did an interview with the university in the mid-2000s, I believe, before our time. So his story is preserved in several formats. But it's also really cool because part of our project is collecting these artifacts. And we've collected several kind of groupings of letters, collections of letters, photographs, various documents. And so, Otha Spencer may not be able to talk to us, but we have things that are his, and his story will be preserved and live on. One
of the things you commented on an earlier program, and something that I think that everybody that has a veteran attached to their family or been a veteran certainly can understand that term hero. Virtually everybody is, if you've been there and done that in one shape or another, so we have to pay honor. I'm curious a little bit, can you fill us in just a little bit more about this brainstorming activity that we're headed towards Highway 24 becoming the Flying Tiger Memorial Highway?
Yeah, well, it was just that. It was just, sitting around and figuring out how we can bring history to Commerce, how we can kind of connect Commerce to history. We've done a lot of work and studying of the Army Specialized Training Program here at the university during the war. And a lot of us in the project, we didn't know about the Flying Tigers and the connection to Commerce when we started the project. That was something that came up through us talking, through us, looking at artifacts and meeting people. And I think it's really important, for us, again, with this whole sharing of everything we've collected to, figure out different ways we can kind of introduce the public to this. And renaming the highway is a great way to do that. I know I've seen memorial highways before, and I kind of wonder, well, who is that person? Why would they name a highway after him? And so it gets people questioning, it gets people thinking, and hopefully gets people talking.
So the project grew out of a history class, I'm guessing, and I think you'd mentioned to me that it's going to turn into your honors thesis.
Yes.
Perhaps. Yes. And our other guest on this week's program is Nick Springer, also a member of the Texas A&M University Honors College. How did you get involved in the War Memory Project?
Well, like Haley, I'm a senior. I wasn't in the history class that started this program. I took a more roundabout approach. I actually almost left the university at one point. And I've always had an interest in the military. Out of high school, I wanted to join West Point, and military life has been something that's fascinated me, something I've always wanted to do. So Dr. Groover knew that and said, you might want to look into doing this project. So I talked to Haley about it a little bit. I kind of thought about what it meant, the values that I got out of it, and I decided I wanted to do it.
So now the project came about. Was it, Haley, originally your idea in talking with Dr. Groover?
Yeah.
On just a project for you, but then it exploded into a...
Well, it wasn't just for me. I started my honors thesis working with oral histories, and I was kind of the first one to really run with, using oral history. And then I know Brianna and Jackson have talked about their first semester as freshmen. They were in this class taught by Dr. Groover and Dr. Stewart. It was an English history cluster. And that was when they got excited. They got introduced to oral histories, what they meant, how they were important, why they were important. And suddenly I had students who were excited too. And so I had always wanted to talk to the people that we had interviewed, that we had seen their oral histories, ask them some questions, thank them for their service. And now I had some people who were excited and could kind of help me do that, because it's a project you can't do by yourself.
Right.
So
You mentioned oral history. Maybe you might just enlighten the audience a little bit more on the concept of oral history.
yeah, I mean, oral history is kind of what it sounds like. It's preserving the stories through, telling them orally. We film our interviews. It's not just audio, it's audio and video, which is, we think, a key component. It's really important to kind of capture facial expressions when someone takes a long pause. Why did they take a long pause? Are they crying? Are they kind of lost in thought, lost in the memories? Those are important pieces of the idea of war and memory.
We have a few minutes left in this program. Nick, did you have a specific vet that you dealt with or talked to?
Yeah, which vet stood out to you?
Well, the veteran that stood out to me the most was actually the first veteran I met while working with the project, and that was Colonel Jerry Bullock.
Who, by the way, is an alum of the university
Yes.
and graduated from the ROTC program we
Yes,
had
both
here.
him and his wife are alums of the university. And the reason he stood out to me so much was because, as I mentioned before, I've had an interest in the military basically my whole life, and that's the career I want to pursue once I graduate. And for a long time, I've really struggled with the career I wanted to pursue. I didn't know what branch, I didn't know what job I wanted to do in that branch. And it's really been something that's caused me a lot of stress. And meeting Colonel Bullock kind of helped me alleviate a lot of that stress, because I found something that I may want to pursue for a career, and that is a job in the Air Force Security Forces, which is what Colonel Bullock did for his entire career. And I mean, it's something that I can't begin to describe to you how much it meant to me to meet someone who's done that, who has a connection through this university that I have, and who kind of helped me get on a path. It gave me an idea of what I might want to do for my career.
Great, thank you. Haley, as we begin to wrap up this program, do you have any final comments? Are you looking for support from the community other than the city council, or anything that we can do to help you?
I mean, we're always looking for support, obviously. It's an up-and-coming project, so we're getting our foundation laid. We always take referrals for veterans. We'll talk to people's grandpa or their uncle or their neighbor, and that's really kind of how we've built our foundation of who we interview and how we go out.
And it's not only Commerce.
No,
Grove
I mean,
City, Greenville, the surrounding area.
I think we travel up to maybe 100 miles. That might be pushing it a little bit. Obviously, we're all students and we do it during the week, but it's not just Commerce. It's kind of the greater Northeast Texas
And
area.
after you graduate, the program will continue because Dr. Groover will.
Well,
see that
after I
this-
graduate, I'm going to get a master's here and stay with the project for a little while.
Haley, thank you. And Nick, thank you for being my guests on this edition of Commerce Close-Up. Once again, I'm Dr. John Bellotti, the Director of Speech at Texas A&M University Commerce. We've done a program, we finished this series of 3 programs today on the War and Memory Project. Thank you.